So what about the price of cloud services? Well, compute or the pricing for cloud instances has remained relatively steady or increased slightly in many regions. For example, EC2 pricing has dropped incrementally, especially in specific instant types, but not proportional to the hardware cost decline that we just went through. So in other words, the amount or the acceleration in cost reduction of hardware out there is not necessarily aligned directly with the cost of cloud services, and kind of that's why I'm making this video. So the actual cost per compute cycle in the cloud has fallen dramatically, as it would for owning hardware outright. So in other words, this is the core question: if hardware, as whether it's storage, networking components, compute, has gone down significantly in the last 10 years, how come the cloud prices haven't followed suit? And that's a fair question. So public cloud storage services, like S3, blob storage, cloud storage on all different kinds of public cloud providers have seen modest declines in prices, 20 to 30% over the last 10 years. Again, a smaller reduction compared to the drop in raw storage hardware prices, which has been 85, 90% based on the information we went through. The networking costs are another thing to consider, and also a big issue with public cloud providers. Data transfer costs in public cloud environments remain notoriously high and have barely decreased over the past decade. In some cases, egress fees have increased depending on the tier of service, despite lower hardware costs for networking equipment. So again, the question is, networks are becoming less expensive and bandwidth is becoming less expensive. So if you're paying less for that equipment and for that services, how come you're not passing your cost reductions directly to the consumer? And certainly there looks like there is a decline in price,